Trump to hail new American moment. A bullish U.S. President Donald Trump will proclaim a new American moment as he delivers his maiden State of the Union speech on Tuesday night. In a prime-time address to Congress, he will tell lawmakers, "There has never been a better time to start living the American dream." The Republican leader will say he is extending an open hand to Democrats to set aside political division. The American economy is booming, but Mr. Trump's approval rating is languishing. In an upbeat message a world away from the apocalyptic tone he struck in his American Carnage inaugural address of just a year ago, Mr. Trump will say his administration is building a safe, strong, and proud America. He will implore the nation to come together as one team, one people, and one American family, according to excerpts released by the White House. On foreign policy, Mr. Trump will note that nearly all the territory in Syria and Iraq once controlled by the Islamic State group has been retaken. But warning against complacency, he will vow, "We will continue our fight until ISIS is defeated." Massachusetts Congressman Joseph Kennedy III, a great-nephew of President John K. Kennedy, will deliver the Democrats' response to Mr. Trump's speech. He will attempt to seize Mr. Trump's political mantle by purporting to speak for Americans who feel forgotten and forsaken. Bewailing a fractured country and depicting Mr. Trump's presidency as chaos, Mr. Kennedy, 37, will say, "Many have spent the past year anxious, angry, afraid. Bullies may land a punch," he will say. "They might leave a mark. But they have never, not once, in the history of our United States, managed to match the strength and spirit of a people united in defense of their future." Presentational Gray Line. Uniters-in-Chief? Analysis by Anthony Zurcher, BBC News, Washington. For the second time in his presidency, Donald Trump steps into the U.S. Capitol to address a joint session of Congress and the American people. Last year he gave a speech that was well received. Learned pundits nodded approvingly as the new president spoke of putting trivial fights behind us. Perhaps his American Carnage inaugural address was a rhetorical hiccup left over from the heated 2016 campaign. The past 12 months, however, have shown that fights, trivial and otherwise, were not abandoned. Just days after his speech to Congress, the president tweeted about being tapped in Trump Tower by Barack Obama. Mr. Trump's presidency has been punctuated by feuds and political conflagrations. Many of the goals he set out last February were left unfinished. Now Mr. Trump has another turn at bat. He may attempt to breathe new life into immigration reform, infrastructure investment or trade deal renegotiation. He may focus on international hotspots like North Korea and the Middle East. He will certainly make calls for unity and try to lay claim to a year's worth of economic growth. The test won't be what he says on Tuesday, however, but what he does in the days ahead. Presentational Gray Line. Mr. Trump will make a plea for the kind of bipartisan cooperation that has been in short supply during a turbulent first year in office. The president, who has enraged Democrats by withdrawing protections for immigrants who entered the U.S. illegally as children, will offer an olive branch. Struggling communities, especially immigrant communities, will also be helped by immigration policies that focus on the best interests of American workers and American families, he will say. So tonight I am extending an open hand to work with members of both parties, Democrats and Republicans, to protect our citizens, of every background, color, and creed. What is the State of the Union speech? Mr. Trump will also again tout his pet $1.7 tn, pound 1.2 tn, plan to rebuild America's aging roads and other infrastructure, though he is not expected to offer many details. Since he came to office, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is up by around 33% and the unemployment rate is at a 17-year low as the U.S. continues its recovery from the Great Recession of a decade ago.